Cardinals Corner from Arizona Sports.
Cardinals Corner from Arizona Sports with Tyler Drake and Lauren Koval.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to Cardinals Corner. We are here to preview the Monday night matchup between the Cardinals and the Chargers here at State Farm Stadium. We are still without our very own Tyler Drake, who is busy at home taking care of baby Baker. And in the meantime, we've got our very own Kellan Olson filling in. Kellan, how have you been?
So glad I'm back. I'm so glad that you ended the last podcast by guaranteeing I was here. Otherwise, you would have definitely looked for replacements. But here I am anyway. Happy to be here. Happy to be here again on Monday night, and then Tyler Drake is back.
Yeah, that is right now the timetable we're working with. So we'll be back Monday late night after the game to do an after game pod for you guys. And then after that, Tyler should be sitting in that very seat again sometime soon.
Keeping it warm for him.
All right, well, let's dive into the big news of the week, which is all of the injuries and the moves that the Cardinals have had to make because of that. Bilal Nichols going to the season-ending IR, which I don't think anybody expected at the end of last week's game. And then Matt Prater moved to the IR as well, still with that left knee injury.
We've got Darius Robinson not at practice today, again, or not in the open parts of practice today on Friday afternoon. We know on Thursday he didn't practice as well. He's also dealing with the passing of his mother. Condolences to him and his family. We don't know yet exactly how much of his absence has to do with that or has to do with his injury status. Marvin Harrison Jr. has been the big development here. He goes into concussion protocol. Has the yellow jersey on yesterday. Today he does not have the jersey on, which is progress. We love to see progress because he is a huge part of this game that we'll get into later. But yeah, the Nichols news is, I don't want to say devastating on its own, but when you compound it with him and Jones together, that defensive line is just in really rough shape. And that is the part of this matchup, coincidentally enough, where you really need your defensive line for this game because of how the Chargers like to run the ball. They do the 12-13 personnel thing. They have the 300-pound fullback that Ron Wolfley loves. Like, they do all that type of stuff. And for this to be the first game where they have to deal without that, it's just brutal timing. And it sucks because I know we're going to look at this free agency class and really criticize it, but we don't know what Justin Jones did for this team because he played 2 or 3 games. Bilal Nichols was playing okay football for 5 or 6 weeks, and now he's out for the whole year. We can't really evaluate that part of it, and that is the one area where they invested the most money, and we don't even get to see it come to fruition. It's pretty frustrating.
No, and to that point, they've played, Justin Jones and Bilal Nichols have almost played every single game for the past 3 seasons in the NFL. They've only missed a handful of games. Bilal Nichols played every single game, if I'm not mistaken, last season. So when you look at this free agency class, you can't go, oh, they were injury prone, or, oh, we expected that from them, because we didn't expect that from them. We didn't expect this injury bug to be bothering them as much as it has. I will say Darius Robinson's injury is he's the most concerning on that list to me because he's moving backwards. In practice last week, he came in as a limited participant, practiced out in the open portion of practice, and ended up then moving into limited, and the non-open portion of practice was the only time that he was warming up to any degree, and then moves to did not practice at all. And now we see him still continuing kind of to take a backslide, dealing with that injury that has kept him out all season somewhat unexpectedly.
I think that's the really tough evaluation standpoint is DJ Chark, for example, is a guy who recently got activated off IR for the Chargers, but we don't know if he's going to play this week. Like, just because guys start to practice or get activated or whatever, like, we would assume Zay Jones is going to play this week, but I don't know. Like, sometimes guys can hit not necessarily snags, but once they start that ramp-up period, they'll start to realize things. Like, to go cross sports for a sec, you'll remember the Diamondbacks, Eduardo Rodriguez, like, got hurt in spring training, and then in late April, I think, is when he started a throwing program, and then we didn't see him for 2.5 months. Like, sometimes that type of thing can happen with these injuries. Not to that extent, of course, for Darius, but it's so imperative that they get him back as soon as possible, especially with the Nichols news, and it puts even more pressure on him. Like, he is going to make his NFL debut, and we're expecting him to be one of the 2 or 3 best players on their defense immediately, which seems like ridiculously high standards, but also just speaks to some of the problems they're dealing with right now.
And Jonah Williams currently on track to return for the Cardinals in just about 2 to 3 weeks from now if he keeps up the same level of progress he's been making so far this season. All right, well, let's dive into the matchup. With all that injury news out of the way now, I think this matchup can sort of be summed up in everything that the Chargers do really well, the Cardinals don't. And so it will be a battle of, can the Cardinals match the Chargers or meet them on a level playing field?
It's a